Well, today is Valentine's Day, the day to celebrate love. And do you know what I love? Freaky looking monsters. That came out wrong. Let's just on with the show. Throughout the land of Rave, there are many fantastical creatures and monsters. Some of these monsters are rare and are seen as treasures by the people of this land. Some are not. The first creature we'll be discussing is one that was once extremely common, but due to its reputation was hunted down to near extinction. This is the sea gorgon. Now many of you may have heard of the more common gorgons, humanoid women with snakes for hair that are capable of turning people to stone with a mere glance of their eyes. These creatures are similar but have some distinct features. For example, while many common gorgons have entirely humanoid bodies, the sea gorgons have a bottom half similar to sea serpents, with a back fin similar to that of a fish. In addition, while most gorgon scales are either green or brown, these creatures have a very distinctive white hide, with orange, teal, and purple stripes. The final major difference between these creatures and more common gorgons are their central power. As almost everyone knows, and as I've mentioned earlier, making eye contact with the gorgon will cause one to turn to stone. However, if one locks eyes with a sea gorgon, they will instead become a coral. These creatures were once extremely common. However, they would often hijack traveling ships and freeze over their crews, sinking their ships. Because of this, they were hunted down to near extinction, with very few remaining to this day. Okay, so for most of these monsters, I have literally no clue where or if I'll use them in the actual story. This is one of two exceptions. However, I'm not going to reveal what its role in the story is just yet. Spoilers. Instead, I'll go over the actual design. Obviously, gorgons have existed in mythology ever since ancient Greece, with the most famous of which being Medusa. So I decided to take a typical gorgon and make it aquatic, almost like a sea snake, which are things that exist. Now, for the pattern art scales, I will admit it was stolen. The pattern was based on this art piece made by an artist I've been following on Instagram recently, named Julie Abstract Creative. She does a fun mix of abstract art and poetry, which I will admit I'm not typically a fan of either, but she pulls it off really well. I'll leave a link to her page in the description, and you can go follow it. And I guarantee you this is not the last time you'll be seeing this pattern. No, there are many powerful creatures in this world, from the elusive sea gorgons, to the mighty jade-scaled dragons, to even the dreaded Black Death. However, just because a creature is fantastical in nature, does not mean it is particularly powerful. This is the escargoul, a species of giant snail. It is gelatinous in form, and besides its black shell, which highly resembles a human skull. One may look at this and be somewhat intimidated, due to its constantly open mouth with multiple layers of teeth. However, as most snails are, it is very slow. It does, however, has the ability to shoot out its second mouth and drag you into its stomach, where you will be swallowed and slowly digested alive. However, in order for it to actually be able to catch you, you would have to be within 6 feet of it. And honestly, if you are moronic enough to get that close to this creature, you may actually deserve your fate. To be completely honest, this was entirely made for the pun. The name escargoul came into my mind, and I knew I had to use it somewhere. So I did. Besides the obvious punny name, this creature also has a few other sources of inspiration. The first actually comes less from fantasy stories and more from fantasy video games, with the trope of the Route 1 slime creature. These are typically weaker, slime-based creatures and are easy for the main character to kill, and are also easy for the designer to easily make. The other piece of inspiration was old medieval manuscripts. Basically, on several medieval manuscripts, there are drawings of knights fighting giant snails. We don't actually know why these exist, but the current theory is that it was a joke of the time period. Snails were seen as one of the weakest creatures, so a knight struggling to fight one was funny. So, combining these two concepts, we get the escargoul. One of the most mysterious creatures in all of Rave is that of the Shrouding Gars. The Shrouding Gars are very rare and elusive creatures, whose abilities make them all but impossible to capture. They are a species of large cat, about the size of a common panther, but their appearance is not so common. Half of their body is covered in dark blue fur with glowing purple stripes. However, the other half of their body is skeletal, surrounded by a transparent purple aura. You see, these creatures can only halfway exist in any given reality, with their other half seemingly existing in a different one. Whether or not their other halves can travel to the dimensions is still unknown, but is highly suspected. They also have the ability to phase in and out of reality, making them impossible to actually contain. Unlike most animals, they also do not appear to have a need to eat, drink, or even sleep. However, they are quite aggressive and should be avoided at all costs. Though they cannot be captured, they can be killed, albeit not by much. Any conventional weaponry, sword, axes, arrows, and the like will not work on it. However, they can be slain by poison, or they cannot. So for those who've been around this channel for a while, you may think that this design looks familiar, and you would be correct. One of my inspirations for this design was an old drawing from a few months ago, where I had to create a normal ghost-type Fakemon. For both this Fakemon and this design, I pulled from Schrodinger's cat, a hypothetical thought experiment meant to explain how superpositions work within quantum mechanics, but then was for some reason later used to explain multiverse theory. For the sake of your attention span, I won't get into it. But basically, these creatures are multiversal in nature, with half their bodies existing in one universe and half their bodies existing in another universe. I also took inspiration from SCP's Josie the House Cat, and of course, the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. This is probably my second favorite design of the episode. The last creature we discussed today is an anomaly within its own species. Hellhounds, large flaming canines believed to originate from the underworld itself, are some of the most vicious and violent creatures in the world. A single pack of these creatures are capable of burning down entire villages and leaving kingdoms in rubble. No one in their right mind would ever attempt taming a hellhound. Which is exactly why Sir Samlot did so. Sir Samlot, during his travels in the land of Rave, was attacked by a group of vicious purple-flamed hellhounds, presumably sent by the Dark Lord Skoldmore. Using his mighty blade of destruction, he was able to kill or ward off most of them, except one. A young female hellhound, who had been left behind by her pack, began to follow Sir Samlot, trying unsuccessfully to hide in nearby bushes to avoid being seen. Though Samlot was not paying attention to this, the Sword of Destruction was aware.
Samlot, there's a monster that has been following us for hours now.
Really? Where?
It is literally on fire. How are you missing it?
The hellhound then emerged from the now flaming bushes. Oh, it's adorable.
It's a vicious monster. Please let me kill it.
But it's so cute.
What is wrong with you?
Then the hellhound flopped over onto its back, presenting its stomach. Oh, she wants a belly rub.
I swear, don't you dare go and you're giving the demonic monster a belly rub. I hate you.
I'm going to name you Sassy.
And I'm going to question my life choices.
For the record, I don't know why all of these creatures ended up being purple. I guess we're doing purple now. But anyways, this creature is obviously based on a hellhound, which, while doing research, I couldn't find an exact mythological origin for. Somewhat like dragons, they just kind of show up in multiple mythologies, so that's cool. The other source of inspiration was my own puppy, Sasquatch. Look at her. Isn't she the cutest little thing? Tell her that she's the cutest little thing. But anyway, that's all for this episode. Goodbye, and I will remember you all in therapy.